this caucus to order. The purpose of our caucus is for a quarterly Scranton parking update. We have with us Dave Traversani from NDC and Chris Emmerich from ABM. They have a presentation that they'll go through and then entertain questions from council. The floor is yours.
No mic.
Sorry, guys. For the television. Okay. Is there a little microphone out there? Sure, it's not. Should be. Because the table. Yes, not. Give us 1 second. Yeah, sure. Is there one on the table? No, I'll show you one. Use this. Oh, there you go. I'm on that. Usually it's on the table.
Is the light on?
It is. Great.
All right.
Great. Thanks again for having us. This is our third quarterly meeting, and we'll have one more this year. Later in the year, we're working on the 2020 budget. Again, thanks for introducing Chris. He's the new operations manager at ABM. Chris is here 3 months now?
Yep.
3 months now. Things have been going great. There was a transition, of course, getting Chris up to speed, but it's good experience, and we're really happy to have him. Well, let's get started. Our typical agenda, I give you a capital improvements update. There's a lot going on, both on-street and off-street, and then a financial performance update. It's how the system's been performing through August. Start with capital improvements, and we'll start with the off-street multi-garage program. As you know, that this project started in October. This is very similar to the update from the last quarter. The big difference is the substantial completion date is now we know going to be the end of December, other than striping and sealing of the other garage floors in the spring. It doesn't make sense to do that stuff in the winter. The big work now that's starting is the older garage, the post-tension portion of the garage, about 75% complete. If you've been over there, you'll hear a lot of noise. The work that's going on now is really the heaviest part of the job, other than taking down the helix, which we showed you last time was completed, I think, in June. This is some idea of the kind of work that's going on now. This is a post-tension garage, so you see all that cabling that's inside the concrete. What they actually have to do is chip out the old concrete that's falling apart. They have to replace and fix those bars, those steel bars, and then they re-pour the concrete. So they cut it out where they need to cut it out, and once they start, if it's bad or loose, they take it out until they get to solid concrete. Again, fix the bars and then form it and pour new concrete. Here's a section that has been cut out, the bars replaced and formed, and the next step would be for them to pour new concrete in that spot. There really is a lot going on right now. I think the merchants have been very patient. The users have been very patient. Right now, we have changed the way the traffic pattern in the garage has been working for safety reasons, and the users of the garage have been very, very patient. We've asked folks if they wanted to move. We clearly did not want to shut down the garage, which would have been most efficient, but we thought that would be worse. So we're doing a red light, green light system, so there's traffic in each direction. If you've seen construction on a roadway, we just have traffic in one direction up and down the helix. We have flagmen on each end to make sure we remain safety. But so far, it's been a week, Chris. I think everything has been working out fine. But this will go on now for the next 3 months. And again, that work will be done at the end of December. So all in all, things are going very well. These projects are not without issues. So we're staying on budget. There are some change orders. We're also doing some work now in some of the retail spaces. The Cano space is being upgraded to allow for that to be shown to tenants. And we did some work in the old Coliseum space, which is in the Medallion garage. It was really in rough shape, and nobody wanted to look at it, so we really tore it all out. So when you walk in there, you'll see an open space now, so at least it shows well. So hopefully we'll see some interest in that space also. So once this is completed in December, these garages will be good for another 30 to 40 years. They're really going to be brand new garages. So I really commend you doing the right thing. The dollars that have been made available to get these garages to this point, I think it'll be very, very noticeable to the users for the next X number of years. This is the Electric City garage status. I wish this was going at the same pace. Unfortunately, it's going a lot slower. We approved the scope of the top deck back in early summer. Desmond is providing oversight with the Electric City engineer. We're working on the balance of the project. As you know, we do not own this garage. The SPA does not own it. The arrangement that we have is the SPA leases the garages to CDPS for 45 years, and we operate through ABM. This garage is owned by a separate company, the same company that owns the Steamtown Mall. They're obligated to make the improvements. They're obligated to do the maintenance, and our role is to maintain it. Some of the dollars that were set aside when we did the financing in 2016 were dedicated to a sharing of improving this garage, and it's unfortunately just going slower than we had anticipated.
I have a question on that. Do you know why the project is going slower than anticipated? Like, what reasons are they giving for that?
I don't. I think it's just been slow getting started. There's been some starts. There's been some stops. We've had, we've been working back and forth on, documentation, but nothing that would prevent them from actually doing the work. There's some dollars available that they're supposed to share, and it's a 60-40 split on how the payments are made for improvements of the garage. So we're just at a point where we're encouraging them to continue and try to move as quickly as possible.
And that's 60 on their end, 40 on your end?
60 on our end, 40 on their end.
60 on your end.
Yep.
And obviously, as you said, they're obligated to maintain the garage. Do you know, is there a time frame? Is there a cutoff date on when this work has to get done? Because it seems to me that, the last few times that you've come, this is a recurring issue that it's taking time to get it started. So my question is, at what point might they be forced to do the work?
That date will be coming up this year. So it's 2019. It's supposed to be done by 2019. Obviously, it won't, so we'll need to be talking about an extension of some sort to try to get the garage in a place where it's safe to use and looks and works right for the users.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to point out that the Spruce Street elevator upgrade was complete. That elevator died, and it has been replaced, so that's a positive. So that's good news. And not to to really some exciting news, the new on-street kiosk system. The system on the right is our system. I think in previous presentations that had been a sample or something that we weren't sure exactly what unit we were going to use. Through an RFP process, we've hired Flowbird Enterprises, which is really one of the best in the industry. They're doing projects in many major cities around the country. This system is state-of-the-art. I hope you've gotten out and taken a look at them. There's 20 meters installed around the square, and folks are using them. I think we've seen a lot of positive feedback from the users. It's different. It's state-of-the-art. It's LPR technology, which is license plate technology, and I think it's been well received so far. Here is another example of some of our signage. I think we've been very impressed with the work that Posture Interactive has worked with us on, and trying to get some consistent signage with the parking signs, the signs to direct folks to kiosks, because now you don't have a meter in front of a space. You have kiosks in a block, and they have to walk a couple spaces over to be able to pay and then use their license plate. On the left is actually what we've procured with the dollars that were available. 193 actual meters or kiosks, some spare parts. The poles will all be removed as part of this initiative. 3 LPR systems, that's 3 vehicles with the LPR technology attached, which means there's a computer inside the car. There's the system on top. I'm not sure what the technical term is, Chris. There's a system on top of the car which reads the license plate. It'll make it much, much more efficient to operate, efficient to use, and efficient to police. So folks don't pay. I think one of the biggest advantages, Chris, we talked about this earlier, was you want to just mention, maybe I should mention, the fact that you could buy parking downtown and take your car and go park any place in the downtown without paying again. So you could pay at any kiosk. You can pull your car up on the street, go put your license plate in, buy time, and use that time any place in the downtown district to go run your errands. If you had to go two, three places downtown, you can move your car, find a spot, and only pay once. We think that's going to be a big advantage for the users. I think folks will really like that.
Excuse me, is there something they put on their windshield to indicate that?
Nope, it's all by license plate. So our folks will drive around with the enforcement vehicle, and your license plate will be in the system. It knows how much time you bought, and as long as you stay within the downtown, you're good. So, and then we have mobile pay also, so you can buy more time on your phone, which makes it easier for folks. But again, for those folks who don't have that technology, you still can use the quarters. So I think
Just a comment, I used the new system today for the first time on Courthouse Square, and couldn't have been happier. It was very smooth and
Glad to hear, man. I was like, okay.
I've been a proponent of moving to this system for a while, because one of the most frustrating things is when you pull into a spot and then the machine doesn't work, with the old meters, and then you get a ticket anyways, even though you're not supposed to, because the machine didn't work. And but no, it was very easy, quick and easy. And I must have forgot. I was ready to put the ticket in the windshield, and it says right on there that you don't have to.
You're all set.
So that's a nice perk as well.
Great, glad to hear that. And we think that the tickets will go down. I mean, that's a revenue source, but obviously nobody likes to get a ticket. Nobody likes to give a ticket. But once folks are able to use these, and it's easy to use, traditionally you'll see that folks will just get less tickets because they'll comply, because it's easier to comply. You put a quarter in, you buy time, you can't get there, you're not going to run out to put more quarters in, and you could do it on your phone, so it's going to be easier for folks to stay in compliance, and folks will get less tickets, which makes folks will be happier. Here's our schedule. We awarded the contract July 1. The units around the square are in. We really wanted to expedite that because of the work that the county is doing around the square. And we expect to put 50 per month in through November. It's a little aggressive. We expected the units got caught up in customs, so a little delay on the delivery of the units. But Flowbird expects to put 50 units in starting, I think, end of October, first week in November. First week in November, 50 units each for the next 3 weeks, and be done by the end of November. Now, that's aggressive. If that slips a week, we think that's possible, but we think by the first week of December we'll be complete. As you see here, the banner, I think you've seen the banner. We're trying to get folks educated, letting them know this is coming, letting them know what to expect, and I think it's so far so good. So far it's gone off pretty well, so we've been pleased with it. Any questions on the updates on the system itself, off-street or on-street, schedule, the technology itself, feedback you've received?
Is there still going to be meters for handicap spaces?
Yes.
So the meters are going to stay in place for the handicap?
No, the meter will go away, the signage will be up to indicate handicap spaces, and the meter placement is all taken into account of where the handicap spaces are.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't want to have two technologies, so we felt that if we placed the kiosk right close to the handicap space, that would make it convenient for those folks who needed to have close access. But to answer your specific question, there isn't going to be a meter right in front of that spot.
So I think the last time you guys were in, you said that there might be a couple spots where the meter might stay in place because of the handicap placement, but
yeah, I think we're trying to avoid that. It's two different technologies, but if the case where we had to, I think we think this will work, and we've seen this work in other places. So again, it was about the placement of the kiosks themselves.
Okay.
And I just have one question about the retail spaces. You had mentioned that before when you were speaking. Do you know roughly what percentage still need to be filled?
Well, we have vacancies at the Cano space, which, if you remember what that looked like, it didn't even have a floor. There really just was no interest because of the dollars that was necessary to actually get it to a point where you could do anything. And then the Medallion space, I don't know the square footage. I want to say that Connell is 2,000 and the space in Medallion is 3.
Okay.
So maybe about 5,000 feet. But all the rest of the space is occupied. All the spaces in Linden are occupied. Bartari, I think there was an article in the newspaper today. They're opening in this October. I think we're excited about that. It's worked out well. He's almost done with construction. And that's really it.
Okay, that's
So
good.
we're,
Thank
so
you.
we're excited. We hope that continues.
Thank you.
On to the financial highlights. As we do every quarter, we like to give you an idea of where we stand financially with the system. Revenue to date, this is through August. We usually have numbers about 10 days after the end of the month. The revenue is better than budget by $133,000. Expenses are on budget, $77 better than budget, so we'd say that's on budget. And so NOI is a little over $133,000 better than budget currently. You know, we have some expenses later in the year that I think will eat into that a little bit, but we do expect to be better than budget by the end of the year and be able to meet our coverages. So, and that was a year that we thought was going to be a tight year because we were projected, based on the concession agreement, we were projected to increase rates in 2019. We did not increase rates. We felt that even though the budget would be tight, we felt like we can make it, and things are panning out, and we're excited about that. So this was a year we were a little bit concerned about, knowing that the on-street system was really where we were having the difficulties. I know that we presented this every quarter, and we see the negative numbers in the on-street side. And so, this was the year that we were really nervous about, but it held, and we're going to meet budget for 2019. In 2020, we'll be starting. Well, let me just finish up with 2019. Here's the numbers. You can take this with you. On the far left, it's the current month. The first three columns are the month of August, which shows that we were better than budget on the net operating income side, about $18,000. And you'll see on the monthly parking is better than budget, but validations are better, but everything else is below budget. Meter parking, for the first time, I believe, in a while, we were better than budget. The next three columns are year to date. You can see again that monthly parking is doing well. Transient parking is below budget, and you'll see that parking in meters and coins is $43,000 below budget. So the monthlies have offset the negatives on the meters and coins, and again, just the outdated system, the breakage not working as well has caused that. But still, all in all, we're pleased to know that we're meeting budget. We're beating budget. We're now working on the 2020 budget. That we'll probably show you where we come out with that in a couple of months. That will need to go to the board of directors, which I know that the city has representation on, probably in sometime end of October, early November. We do expect to have rate increases for the 2020 budget so that we could meet our obligations both on the expense side and the debt service side. Still working through those, so really nothing to report currently, but it would be the first rate increase in 4 years. So we're really pleased about that. But expenses do go up, but I think it's important to remind you that we operate this on a not-profit basis. I mean, all the revenue that's generated stays in the system. All the revenue that's generated goes to pay operating expenses. It goes to pay debt service to meet our financial obligations. And our goal is to keep the rates as low as possible to meet those obligations based on how the transaction was structured. So when the deal was done in 2016, there was actually a rate schedule laid out. And as I mentioned, we had the ability to go increase rates in 2019. We did not. It worked out. We felt comfortable. This year, I think it's unavoidable based on where we are with expense increases being 4 years into this now. And so we'll work through that over the next few weeks, and we'll show you where we end up. We don't think they'll be significant, but there will be some increases for both the on-street and the off-street.
Quick question on that. If I remember correctly, if there's a rate increase, does that have to come before, so it goes before obviously the NDC board, but does that then have to come before council for?
Not if it's within the schedule that was laid out in the concession agreement.
Right, okay.
So if we were going to increase rates beyond where it was projected in the concession agreement, yes, we would have to. Okay. We don't expect that we'll be able to, we won't be there.
Okay.
We'll be within the schedule.
Okay, thank you.
How's the response been to the residential parking program?
You know, we really haven't rolled it out because our goal was to, I know that was approved as part of the on-street system and making the dollars available. We haven't really marketed it yet. We wanted to get through the 2020 budget and start that with a new budget year in January. So I say that because we haven't had a lot of folks even reaching out to us, but it's probably because we haven't really marketed it yet or reached out to the residential parkers that we do have. We know that folks will take advantage of that, but we really haven't started. We'll do that with the budget.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Well, thank you for coming in.
Great.
We'll see you in
Thanks.
another couple months.
Appreciate your time.
Thank
See
you.
in a couple
Thank you.
months.